All right, so here we have our uh, rose, natural rose. And I was reading online, there are some rose fibers that are apparently made out of the stem and the leaves only, but most are in fact a type of tinsel combined with wood pulp. So I'm going to assume this one is, from what I understand, best way to tell is it lush and soft and beautiful and makes you fall in love? It's a tinsel. If it's rough and horrible and makes your hands bleed, it's true rose fiber. So I'm not sure if that's accurate, but I'm gonna go with it because I have no other way of deciding. So I'm just gonna believe the internet randos that this is more of a tinsel, but it does actually feel quite lovely. I can already feel. I know a lot of the things I've read were like it's basically going to be exactly the same as bamboo or seaweed, and I could definitely see how you would say it's similar to bamboo because it is already very shiny, it's very silky, and that is something the seaweed was too. But when I feel it in my hands, it definitely feels different. It definitely feels softer right off the bat. Doesn't have a rose smell. I was just seeing because the seaweed did have that smell. Go ahead and check the staple length. And that's nice and long there, so I think we'll have no problem spinning it on the wheel today. Let's go ahead and get this set up. Um, I might pre-draft this one because I did that last time and it gave me a lot of success. So if it works, why not keep it up? This is already feeling very light and soft and plush, and I feel like it wants to fly away. The slightest breeze. This actually feels silkier than the seaweed, just right off the bat. It does feel silkier, but it also feels a little bit stickier, like it wants to stick a little bit more. So that is interesting. So I will say that even if it is a tinsel, the products that they're mixing in is clearly making a difference between the different types. So I imagine it's going to be different once we finish it out because right now I can already feel a difference. And I didn't expect to feel so much of a difference this early on. This actually does feel softer, much, much softer, and still very light and fluffy and ply. And I don't know, it just feels really nice. Just keep moving because actually it feels kind of like satin. You know, when you get a nice satin and you just rub it against your hair, or when you get a nice silk pillowcase, but not from a nice silk, maybe a mulberry silk. So it is definitely giving that feeling right off the bat, which I wouldn't really expect, but how soft satin weaves are, they're known for being very soft and luxurious. This actually just feels like that right off the bat, but as a fiber, if that makes sense. I'm probably saying that in a way it sounds really weird, but go ahead and get this spinning and see how we do. I don't want to go too thick, but I don't want to go too thin either. So let's just slow it down. I've got it on the largest bandwidth because I have a tendency to pedal quite fast. It's a little early to tell how well it's going to spin, but I already just like the way it feels in my hands. It's just so soft. This is like softer than the felted wool I've spun because I've spun the Mar-a-Lago felted merino wool. This is definitely softer than that, but the way it sticks reminds me of that, and I think that's why it's coming to mind because when I did the seaweed, it didn't stick quite like this. When you pulled it, it it just slid more. And this one, even though it slides very well, it does stick together a little bit. It wants to be plied. It wants to hold on to itself, but not so hard like the corn fiber just wanted to knot up or flake apart. This one seems like it just, it's like I belong with myself, but I'm not going to fight you. So I don't know. I'm already liking this. It's already feeling very nice. All right, so we are at the point where I would normally be working on our sample. But the thing is, I've completed this and it actually did pass the snap and drift test. It neither snaps nor drifts, which is perfect and it's exactly what we would need. But I only have about 60 yards. I didn't have a ton of fiber and it'd be kind of hard to make a sample that small. I mean, it's possible, but then the other problem that arose is I love it too much. I just love it. It is so soft. It is so shiny. It is so beautiful. And even everywhere where I made a mistake, it almost completely balanced out. You can see some subbiness, but it is just balanced so well at the by just the nature of the fiber that it's hardly noticeable. Because I made some pretty big subs. Like right here, this is a huge sub, but when you put it against the rest of it, it's hardly noticeable, which is just so weird. Spinning it was just a delight. I've never had such a nice experience weaving things or spinning something. I've spun, uh, a few different wools, and throughout this process, I've spun several fibers, but I was just so in love with this, and it just feels so nice. It's one of the softest fibers I think I have messed with at all. It is just so soft and so shiny. The twist is beautiful. The the look of the fiber is just absolutely stunning, and it's so soft. Um, so that's the other problem is I love it so much that I don't want to put it into this little tiny sample and use all of it. I want to save it and put it into a big project where I can be like, this is my rose fiber. And maybe, I don't know, maybe even do a project where I'm making like flowers and this is the flower pattern for the project. I know that sounds a little silly, but at the same time, it's how I feel and I just love it so much. So my review of the rose fiber, and I know that technically this is probably a Tencel because they said if it's soft, it's probably a Tencel. And if it feels like linen or hemp or any of those, it's probably going to be mostly rose fiber. And this was just so unbelievably buttery soft. So it's probably a form of Tencel. Still, I'm smitten with it. I am so in love. I would probably enjoy making more things out of this, spinning this more often, and just kind of making my own stuff out of it. So, one thing about it is considered a vegan friendly option for silk, so that you could replace a lot of things that you would use, like a mulberry silk or something like that, for with rose fiber, and that it is more friendly for vegan purposes. Because with silk, yeah, you kill the silkworm, obviously. Um, Actually, no, I think some silk companies don't actually kill the silkworm, which is interesting. Um, some actually just wait for the silkworm to leave and then they collect the cocoons, but they are raised in captivity, and some people have a problem with that. Some people don't. That's up to you. That's not the point. The point is, this is kind of an option for that. And I can see that because it's very shiny, very soft. Everything about it is just absolutely stunning. I'm completely smitten by it. And I could definitely see it being an alternative for silk. Whether or not that's something you want to do, that's up to you. But I won't lie, I'm smitten with this fiber. I think it is absolutely gorgeous. I think it is so soft, so plush. From spinning it, plying it, I didn't have a single break. Not once. It just flowed perfectly. I had a couple subs when I wasn't paying attention, but that's because I got distracted, as I do. And I think I probably, for this 2 ounces, probably spent 4 hours spinning and plying it. And I'm not the world's, most accomplished spinner, and I'm relatively a beginner. So the fact that I had no breaks and I did it in 4 hours, I feel pretty good about, especially with how beautiful it is. And it naturally wants to just forgive those mistakes, because after I just gave it a very light thwack, and almost all of the issues I had where I accidentally kind of pulled out too big of a chunk and it created a sub, almost all of those have blended in really well. I think this one right here is probably the most visible. You see it right there. And even then, it's hard. Like it's, yeah, you see that little tiny spot, but the twist is definitely noticeable. You can see where it was twisted, but it's defined but soft looking. I don't know if there's a better way to describe it. So all in all, I'm sorry I won't be weaving it because I need to find the perfect project for it. I can't just put it into a sample, and I apologize for that. But that should also give you a good idea of how I feel about this, and also let you know if this is something you want to do. If you're a beginner, I actually feel like, I don't know if it's easier than wool because I started with wool, but this is definitely one of the easiest things I've spun, period. It was delightful. It was wonderful. I'm smitten by it. You should definitely try rose fiber if you're interested in using something like that. Drop a comment below. Let me know if you've used rose fiber in the past or if you're interested in using it. And don't forget, like, subscribe, share with your friends, and I'll catch you in the next one.